Okay, so AFC recap. First of all, the Texans look good. Surprise to, I think, a lot of people. Chargers were 3-point favorites. Fun facts for the future. I think, it's not really huge news. The 3-point favorite is like the worst line in the world. It's a coin toss, but anyways. Chargers started okay. 2 field goals. Maybe that was indicative of what was coming. Just good enough. Not good enough. 2 field goals. And the Texans just started running away with it. And I think what sealed the deal for the Texans was Nico Collins was the best player on the field. Will Anderson, probably a close second. Quick, name a Chargers star. Derwin James is not a star. Bosa is older. Mack is old. Herbert is great. McConkey is good. They need to insulate Herbert with some real weapons. Quentin Johnson, me and you could go play receiver better than Quentin Johnson. I don't think Herbert is a choke. I think the Chargers capitalized on the problem in the NFL. There's just not a lot of good teams in the NFL. And so when you're above average and you're beating up on all these teams, you're going to go to the playoffs, especially now that there's 7 teams in each conference. The NFL is approaching NBA level status because almost everyone gets into the playoffs. Like, getting into the playoffs does not mean you're a good football team. A la Pittsburgh, a la Chargers, Bucks. The Packers looked awful. I'll get right into that. The Packers looked terrible. The announcer, they kept saying this guy's banged up and this guy's banged up and Love is hurt. I get it, but they looked abysmal. Was it the Packers looking bad or did the Eagles look great? I think anytime you have that conversation, it's got to be a little bit of both and maybe lean one way. A little bit of both. The Eagles' defense is pretty damn good. Their offense struggled as well, though. Abysmal passing yards or passing numbers in the first half. Let's see how fast I can pull that up. I'm looking that up. The Eagles are bad in the first half. Really absolutely capitalized on that huge, crucial fumble at the beginning. And then the Eagles are a one-man show, and it's not Jalen Hurts. This is not the Eagles that went to the Super Bowl when Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate. This is Saquon Barkley's MVP candidate this season, and the Eagles are grinding their gears. Something is not right in Philly. Like, how can A.J. Brown be so unhappy about going the record that they went? You're not that unhappy if everything's awesome. Like, people in the locker room must not be getting along. Sirianni's a douche, so that'd be easy for someone to not get along with. Eagles-Vikings spread, maybe Eagles minus 1.5. That's going to be a close game. I think the Vikings would win that game. If the Eagles lined up against the Lions tomorrow, the Lions would smoke them. The Eagles cannot keep up with this Lions offense, but Packers look bad. Eagles look pretty good. Going back to the AFC, there's a lot of bad teams in the NFL, and almost half the league gets in, so there's going to be bad teams in the playoffs. And the Steelers were the worst playoff team I've seen in some time. They couldn't do anything. They looked like they might show they showed a little bit of life in the second half, but at that point, I think the Ravens are, they're looking forward to whoever they're playing next. They're thinking about anything else but the Steelers, but Ravens smoked them. Steelers are bad. Where did the Steelers go from here? I do have a video posted. I can share at the end of this. The Steelers need to burn it down. They are the Detroit Red Wings of the NFL. The Steelers capitalized and rode the wave of being such a great team, really since forever. When have the Steelers ever had a stretch of bad football? Since before I was born, or I guess before Bill Cowher took over. But burn it to the ground. And if you have to fire Mike Tomlin to do that, you might have to, because I think he's too good of a coach. There's so many bad teams in the NFL that a good coach will capitalize on them and get a above 500 record and get into the playoffs, which should not be the standard. The standard should be competing for a Super Bowl, winning the division every year. That is the standard. Being from Detroit, we don't recognize that that's a standard. We are now. Next year, the Lions better win the division. They better go back to the Super Bowl. Back? Am I from the future? The Red Wings, kind of similarly, a 22 season long playoff streak. And at the end there, what was it good for? Like, we knew they were going to get smoked in the first round. They had massive inflated contracts to players that fans knew. The general manager was like, we got to sell some tickets and let's keep some names that everyone knows in the lineup. And it didn't result in wins, and that's the same thing that's going on in Pittsburgh. Russ has got to go. Next year, they have to bottom out and get in the top 5 and draft a quarterback. They're being held together by T.J. Watt and Mike Tomlin, but they're bad. Next team, Bills, Broncos. I was right about the Broncos for one drive. They looked good that one drive. Bo Nix is good. The future is bright for Denver, I think. But the Bills did what I said they would. They outpaced Denver, and Denver could not keep up. Denver needs just more seasoning. I don't know if you could say, I know he was great in San Francisco. That was, 10 years ago? We'll see. Jury's out. He had a good first year. But the Bills looked great. They boat raced the Broncos, essentially, and I think they kind of, like the Ravens, pulled up a little bit. James Cook is a star. The 3-headed rotation they do is weird. I don't know why. I get it. You want to keep your guys fresh, and maybe they haven't had too many close games to where they need to keep James Cook in for so long. But they could use a receiver. They could use a number one. They've got a good group of receivers around him. Man, nobody's talking about T. Higgins to Buffalo. Whoo! Yeah. I mean, who's Buffalo spending money on? Josh Allen and anybody else? Maybe a guy in the offensive line or two. Denver and the Chargers are similar to where they will and should insulate their offense. I think Denver is ahead of the Chargers in all categories. I like Denver's receivers better. Both running back rooms are abysmal. Both teams need to draft a running back. The Chargers would have a better offensive line, but and the Broncos have a better defense. I also don't really know if I believe in Jim Harbaugh in the NFL. Yeah, the Bills look good, and that matchup, Bills-Ravens, is going to be awesome. This should be the deciding factor of who wins the MVP. Screw talking about it. Screw the stats. Whichever team wins this, I think this is going to be a shootout of all shootouts. Whatever the over is, take it. It's not going to be high enough. Man, that's going to be an awesome game. That is an exciting game. What do you think the spread's going to be? Who's going to be favored? So Buffalo's the 2 seed. Buffalo will be at home. Is it going to be Bills -4? Let's see. That's my guess. Do they have it out yet? Baltimore -1. Wow. No respect. Over-under 51. I don't care about the spread. Hammer that over-under. The over-under... Wow. Baltimore -1. Okay. If I had to trust one of those two quarterbacks, I'm taking Lamar. Lamar should be the MVP. He blows Josh Allen out of the water as far as stats. And I think people are starting to come around to it. The last thing I'll say about the Broncos-Bills game, when you look at Sean Payton, you probably think of two things. One, what a douche. Two, the surprise onside kick in the Super Bowl. And it's gone. Has anybody enjoyed this new kickoff rule? No. It's done nothing. After all the talk and strategy about what are we going to do, who's going to go back there, is J-Mo going to go back there, are we going to see more stars taking advantage of it because they got more space to run? No. It's dumb as shit. Figure it out. Get it back to where it was, and let us have the idea or this tiny potential of a surprise onside kick. I don't care if we got an increase of returns by 4%. Because we had an increase of fun by 0%. Negative 20%. Dumb. The NFL has gone back on what they've done before. Remember that stupid-ass pass interference challenge that never got used? Yeah, they got rid of that after 1 year. Get rid of this stupid kickoff rule. Remember the hip drop tackle that everyone was talking about in the offseason? Has there been one called? Sometimes I just... the NCAA is worse at this. The people in charge, how do they get these jobs? Who are they blowing? It's pathetic. As far as the college football, move the transfer portal opening date back. You're welcome. I'll take a check. I'll send you my email. How is this possible? A 5th grade fantasy football commissioner would have done better than this. speaking of the NCAA, it was on a Thursday and Friday. Woof. Talk about prime time. You know what the NFL thinks of Thursday? They think of Jaguars-Titans. That's what they think of Thursday night football. And college football, with all the hoopla on the offseason about how excited they are about the new playoffs, semifinals, Thursday, Friday. Washington, Tampa. I was hoping that Washington would win. Maybe one more link at the end. My hopeful playoff Lions predictions. Washington was my number one choice. Looking at the Packers game, I would have been fine to play them. They look terrible, but Washington is good. Well, no, Washington's not good. Jaden Daniels is great. And he will not be able to keep up with this Lions offense by himself. Brian Robertson is average at best. Austin Eckler is old. Terry McLaurin is great. Washington's good. They did what they had to do. They went on the road, rookie quarterback, to win a playoff game. But I am not worried about them whatsoever. If we hadn't just watched this game, did we remember Bobby Wagner was on Washington? Can we name another defender besides Marshawn Lattimore, and we only know him because they traded for him? I think Deron Payne, right? So Washington's welcome. I hope DTW rolls out the carpet for him, get the salt all down, make sure nobody slips. Come on in, get your ass kicked. Tampa looks sloppy. I'm kind of bummed. I like Baker. They didn't look good. Again, too many playoff teams. Maybe, who gives a shit? I don't know. I'm really looking forward to seeing our corners match up against Terry McLaurin. Go double up. Go parlay your game against Justin Jefferson and go shut down Terry McLaurin, whether it be Amik Robertson or Terrion Arnold. I hope he's healthy. Between you and me, maybe Terrion should just sit this one out. Not really. No, go win the game. Why are there so many bad teams? I think it's just because it's been so proven that you can be Washington. You can draft second overall, and the next year you can go 12-5. So general managers and owners have less patience, which they shouldn't. Well, they should have less patience. You can do this. Turn it around quick. Stop giving coaches and GMs such a long leash. But the downside of doing that is you've got more opportunities to swing and miss, and it's more likely to miss. But when you hit, great. And would you rather, take a shot and miss and draft in the top 5 again, or just be stuck in the middle with you, like Pittsburgh for forever, just stuck in the purgatory of middle with at the end of the tunnel? The Super Bowl is so far, but so is the absolute depth of hell. You're in the middle. So I would rather take a shot every 3-4 years than just wait and hope. Hope is not a strategy. It is, losers think hope is a strategy. If you consider the statistics of that hope, flipping a coin is not hope. You have a 50% chance to win. Do you like those odds? Depends what it is. If it's for a sandwich that I like over one, sure. If it's for my life, no. Do I like 50% chance, maybe this is an easier analogy, 50-50 shot on, my guy getting on base? Yeah, that's awesome. Normally it's 30%. So what's the percentage in the NFL as far as coaches winning or doing well? Let's think about it. Who are the good NFL coaches you would want right here, right now? Dan Campbell? Yup. Kevin O'Connell? Yup. Matt LaFleur? I'm going to say no. What's he proven? I mean, this has been his worst year so far. Are we excited about the Packers next year, Packers fans? So that's 2. Mike Tomlin? Static environment, blank slate, put a coach anywhere. Yeah, Mike Tomlin's a great coach. Harbaugh, yes. Eric Taylor, guy in Cincinnati, he's in the LaFleur boat. I'm going to stick with 4. I'm going to say no. I like Stefanski. I think he's good. That's 5 in the whole division out of 8. So if we just go off that sample size, which is pretty good, what's that? 5 out of 8 is, 63%. So if you had a 63% chance of finding a good head coach, fire all these guys. Fire Gerard Mayo. Fire the numbnuts in Chicago. Get rid of them. Take another shot. Should we keep going around the horn? Okay, Mike Vrabel? Yup. Jets head coach? To be determined. Bills? The floor category. Who else? Dolphins? I'm going to say McDaniels. I'm going to put them in the Pittsburgh category. Burn it down. I don't love Tua. Tyreek's gone. Build around Achane, I guess. That's another team I would hate to be a fan of. They seem like they're going nowhere. Maybe it's because of their head coach isn't very experienced, very good leader. I don't know. NFC South, Atlanta hasn't really proven much. I'm going to give them a pass. One more year, I guess. Tampa, no. Oh my God, I'm so glad I did this. What is Todd Bowles doing? There are some aspects in football where I swear to God, a 18-year-old who plays Madden knows more about clock management and when to use a timeout than some of these head coaches. Call a fucking timeout. You have 2 of them. There's 34 seconds left. You have the ball at the 10-yard line. How are they... I don't understand. Like, maybe Todd Bowles is like our old Lions coach, Jim Caldwell. Like, the thought about Jim Caldwell was always he was great from Monday to Friday, but as soon as the ball was kicked off, he shit down his leg. I mean, he had 2 watches on his wrist. Neither of them were for clock management. Hire some of these esports guys, like, let them, because what is playing man? It's a simulation. If I call a timeout in this scenario, is it better than not calling a timeout? Let me play 10 games and figure it out. Thanks for watching.